All right, so today we're going way beyond your typical comic book story. We're diving into what's basically a metaphysical drama laid out in 4 acts, and at the center of it all is Vampirella, a character who realizes she's trapped in a story someone else wrote for her. This is all about her fight to grab the pen and become the author of her own reality.
So where does this whole drama begin? Well, it starts with a massive identity crisis. I mean, for decades, Vampirella has been this walking contradiction. One day she's told she's a tragic alien from another planet. The next she's a demon, the daughter of Lilith. Her own origins are a complete mess, forced on her over and over. And as she says herself, she's reached a point where she can't even tell what's real and what's just a reflection in her mother's magic mirror.
And that really brings us to the core question of this whole thing, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. If everything you thought you knew about your past was a lie, if your memories were planted, if your very identity was being used as a weapon against you, how in the world do you break free from that? How do you escape a story you never ever chose to be in?
Okay, so let's get into Act 1, the poison script. And you know, the source of all this pain, it's not some random cosmic fluke. No, this is a deliberate, calculated act of psychological horror. And it's orchestrated by the one person who should have been protecting her all along.
So who's the architect of all this trauma? It's her mother, Lilith. But here's the twist. She's not just a mother. She's framed as the writer. She literally uses this magic mirror to implant contradictory origins and false memories. She takes the concept of a retcon, when comic writers change a character's history, and turns it into a tool for psychological torture. It's just brutal. Vampirella is basically living in a prison of lies, and her own mother built the walls.
And all this manipulation leads to this corrosive state they call ressentiment. And it's not just about being angry or resentful. It's deeper. It's this profound existential sickness, like a constant nausea you get from realizing your entire identity is just a hand-me-down story. She's completely haunted by what she calls the shadows of God, all these value systems and origin stories that she had absolutely no part in creating.
All right, that brings us to Act 2, an unacceptable choice. And this is where things just explode. We go from a deeply personal trauma to a full-blown cosmic war for the nature of reality itself. Yeah, the stakes are about to get a whole lot higher.
So here's the impossible choice she's facing. It's this unacceptable choice between 2 different kinds of tyranny. Option 1 is the tyranny of the absolute. Imagine a universe that's a perfectly ordered cage. There's only one truth, everything is static, and there's absolutely no free will. Option 2, the tyranny of the relative. This is total chaos, a reality with no foundation at all, where nothing is real, and so, ultimately, nothing even matters. A sterile prison or a meaningless void. Some choice, right?
So who are the big players pushing these 2 extremes? Let's break it down. On the side of order, you've got Vampirella. He's this cosmic architect who basically sees reality as a messy equation he needs to solve. His method is called subtractive purification. His plan? To just delete all the messy variables, free will, emotions, you name it, until only one perfect, unchangeable truth is left. Then, on the side of chaos, we have the continuist. This guy's a demon, and his whole deal is additive corrosion. He just keeps injecting more and more contradictory histories into reality until the whole thing just dissolves into meaningless pulp.
And here's a really great way to think about it. The parable of the library. Think of reality as a giant library. Vampirella, the guy obsessed with order, is like a super strict librarian who decides to burn every single book except for one perfect encyclopedia. One story, forever. The continuist, the agent of chaos, is the vandal who sneaks in every night and rewrites all the pages with disappearing ink. Pretty soon nothing makes sense. See, both of them completely destroy meaning, they just come at it from opposite ends.
So, how do you even begin to fight something like that? Well, welcome to Act 3, the third path. This is the game changer. This is the moment where our protagonist has a revelation. She doesn't have to pick one of these terrible options. She can reject the entire choice.
And she doesn't find this new path alone. An ally emerges, Sophia, the first woman. And what's interesting is that she's not another brawler or a warrior. She's a scholar, a mage. Her whole purpose isn't to fight the chaos head-on, but to serve as a philosophical guide, to teach Vampirella how to interpret it all.
And this really highlights the huge difference between the 2 mother figures in her life.
On one hand, you have Lilith, the writer. She imposes narratives to manipulate, which creates that toxic ressentiment. On the other hand, you have Sophia, the scholar. She interprets narratives to guide, and she teaches affirmation. It's really the ultimate choice, a creator who traps you in a story versus a guide who empowers you to write your own.
And this all leads to the big breakthrough, the great revelation. With Sophia's guidance, Vampirella finally understands there is no one true story to uncover. The chaos, the conflicting memories, the manipulation by her mother, that was the truth all along. Her path to freedom isn't about digging for some original, pristine past. It's about taking all the lies, all the contradictions, and affirming them as her own reality. She's going to own the chaos.
Which brings us to the grand finale, Act 4, the self-begotten author. Now that she's accepted her fractured past, she's not just living with it, oh no. She's about to transform it into the very foundation of a new reality, a reality where she and only she holds the pen.
And her new state of being is, well, it's pretty wild. She enters what's called a self-begotten state. Basically, she's operating on a closed causal circuit. She defines herself from the inside out, which makes her totally immune to recons. Just think about that for a second. No one can ever rewrite her story again. She becomes what's known as a high-level informational hazard. She's dangerous just by existing because she carries the viral code of realities the universe itself tried to forget.
So, what's the formula for this new reality? It's right here. She takes the raw, primal instinct of the first world and fuses it with the conscious, deliberate power of authorship, her third way. And the result of that equation? A completely new metaphysical state, a fifth world, forged in the fire of that impossible war between absolute order and total chaos.
And this is her final, ultimate declaration to everyone who tried to write her story for her. To Lilith, to Vril Dox, to the continuist. She looks them all in the eye and says, "The play is not yours to direct or to twist. I am the author, and I exist." She's torn up their script for good.
So that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. We've just seen her turn her own broken, contradictory past into her greatest weapon. But what are the real limits of a being like that? A being who remembers everything the universe has tried so desperately to forget. Her drama might be over, but you get the feeling her story, her real story, is just getting started.